Hello everyone, welcome to our full product review for the Sega NP8157. To start things off, we need to go over the specs of the device. Let's kick it off with the CPU, which is the Intel i7-7700HQ processor. The GPU inside is an NVIDIA GTX 1070 with 8GB of GDDR5 RAM. Memory included is 16GB of DDR4. Storage inside is a 256GB M.2 SSD and a 1TB 7200 RPM hard disk drive. For connectivity inside, there's built-in gigabit Ethernet LAN, Intel dual-band wireless AC8265, and Bluetooth 4.2 on an M.2 chip. For power, there's a removable 4-cell polymer battery pack with 60 watt-hours and a 230 watt AC adapter. There's also a built-in 2-megapixel FHD video camera above the 15.6-inch FHD anti-glare matte type IPS screen at the resolution of 1920 by 1080 with G-Sync technology. On the left-hand side of the device, there is one mini display port 1.3, two USB Type-C 3.1 Gen 2 ports, and two USB 3.0 ports. On the right-hand side, there is a 2-in-1 audio jack, one microphone jack, and one line-out jack, a SIM card slot, a 6-in-1 card reader, one USB 3.0 port, Ethernet port, and the Kensington lock. And on the back of the device, there's the AC power port, HDMI port, and another mini display port 1.3. As for the keyboard on the NP8157, the keys have very good feel while typing, and there's only a little amount of flex on the face of the keyboard. The keys also have RGB backlighting and simple controls for a variety of lighting options with Sega's control suite, which is also used for not only the lighting, but also fan control and more. The touchpad is off-center from the middle of the laptop, but right below the primary keys of the keyboard. It has a smooth matte finish and good responsiveness. The left and right click buttons are individual from the touchpad, which is something I like to see, and are separated by a fingerprint scanner. Included in the box with the NP8157 is a user guide and manual with a driver CD and the included power cables. Taking a closer look at the inner workings of the laptop, you can see that there are 3 fans that do keep the device cool. 2 of them are more dedicated to the GPU, which are going to disperse its heat out the back of the device away from the user. And then we have the CPU fan more so over here to help push away any heat out the side, and that's where the CPU is located. We have 2 sticks of RAM located right here centrally. You could upgrade these and have more capacity if you're looking for more RAM. We have the battery pack down in front, where it would be closest to the user if you were sitting on this side of it. You have a Samsung NVMe SSD, a 960 Pro. You have very, very good read and write speeds with this. If you wanted to do some RAID configurations, there are 2 open M.2 slots right here that you could put more M.2s in your device and get more speeds or more storage or future expansion. You have a wireless and Bluetooth card located right here. And then we have a 7200 RPM hard disk drive up here in the front. Now, if you wanted to replace this with a solid-state drive, you would get some faster read and write speeds. You could also go to larger capacities if you wanted to upgrade that way too, and you'd save on battery life because it would have no moving parts, which is really, really good if you wanted to save a little bit on battery life and get some faster speeds. This also is removable too, and underneath there's room for actually another one, so you could stack 2 2.5s on top of each other and plug them both in. There's another reading spot down there for the SATA connector. So you could do that, or if you had a really, really tall 2.5-inch drive, then you could just have a greater capacity that way too. So lots of room for expansion and future storage on this model. As for the weight of the laptop, if you're looking to carry the device around, it weighs 6.55 pounds. And if you want to bring the charger along with it on the go, the total weight of both of them together will be 8.95 pounds. The battery life of the device while running basic tasks and with battery saver mode with the backlighting set to 50% will be around 2.5 hours. Next, we took a look at the surface temperature of the laptop while under gaming loads. You can see that the front of the face of the laptop gets a little bit of heat in the keyboard, but most of the heat is up at the top where the GPU is located, but nothing too bad. And then coming around to the back and side, you can see where the heat is displaced from the CPU and the GPU. Both of these obviously a little bit warmer than the face of the laptop, but still nothing too hot. Checking out the decibel readings of the fans while under gaming loads with default fan settings, we had a decibel reading of 45 at the front of the device. Right up at the front of the keyboard of the device, you had readings of around 54 decibels. And then coming around to the back where the fans are working the hardest on the GPU, we had readings of 64 decibels. Kicking off our testing, we started off with Firestrike, which scored 13,260, which is better than 83% of all devices that have ran this test. Next, we tested Cinebench. The OpenGL score was 113 FPS, and the CB score for the processor was 728. You can see how it stacks up on the left-hand side of the screen. Next, we ran Crystal Disk to check out the sequential read and write speeds of both the solid-state drive and the hard disk drive. Starting with the solid-state drive, it read at 2001 megabytes and wrote at 1805. Very quick. And the hard disk drive inside read at 116 and wrote at 112. Kicking off our real-world testing, we started off with Grand Theft Auto 5 maxed out with no MSAA and ran it at 96 FPS. We then did it with MSAA at ×2 and MSAA at ×4 and had FPS readings of 93 and 89. The GPU temperature while gaming was 78 degrees Celsius and the CPU's temperature was 82. Our second game we tested was Rise of the Tomb Raider on very high with FXAA, SMAA, and SSAA at ×2. The FPS numbers were 104, 99, and 75. The GPU's temperature while testing was 80 degrees Celsius and the CPU was at 84 degrees Celsius. Our third game we tested was Dirt Rally on Ultra with MSAA at ×2, 4, and 8, and it actually read at 120 FPS on all readings. The GPU and CPU temperature were also both the same at 79 degrees Celsius. And as for the final title that we tested was Hitman. We ran on medium, high, and on ultra with FXAA and had readings of 94, 88, and 86 FPS. The GPU's temperature was at 80 degrees and the CPU was at 88 degrees. If you're looking to put a personal touch on your machine, be sure to check out our extensive customization options before checkout, including upgrades available to the RAM, storage, cooling, overclocking, custom paint, hydro and graphic wraps, laser etching, and much, much more. If you'd like to take a closer look at any of the specific BIOS menu screens, be sure to pause the video on the one you'd like to view closer. If not, always be sure to check out the product link in the description or leave us a comment down below if you have questions for us here at Exotic PC. I've been Andrew saying thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for future product overviews and reviews.